Ron Young goes around along with the 27 at Chase Montgomery.
Caution is out. Caution is out. This will help Brian Vickers a little bit, but now he tried to stop in his pit, then he tried to get going and hung an air hose. Now he's just sitting there.
Yeah, he's made matters worse.
Well, Larry Mack, they're going to push the car back now. The tire is completely gone on that left front. Bad luck has gone to even more bad luck for Brian Vickers. Brand new race car, they've already knocked the new off.
Yeah, what happened when he saw the caution come out, he was going to try to drive through his pit box and go back on a racetrack, but with the left front and the left sides here, they don't run that safety interliner. They do in the right side. He was sitting on the rim.
Ron Young inside of and with Montgomery. Around they go.
Of course, Chase Montgomery kissing the wall yesterday in practice. They actually repaired that race car. I mean, Chase Montgomery all the way down on the apron. That won't work, Darrell. 36 degrees of banking, but that apron is about a third of that banking.
Well, he had two choices: run into the back of him and tear up both cars, or try to go down on the apron and maybe slide up into him and push him out of the way. Didn't work. Neither one worked out for him.
Steve Burns on our leader.
And Jason Keller describing his car as a little...
In the 27, we are under caution now.
I've just been really surprised how Chase Montgomery is having a terrible time here. He hadn't been able to get his car going at all.
Lap 87, sixth caution of the day.
And that's the only downside to coming on the pit road when a lot of the leaders don't, is you're back there in the back of the pack, and it got Jamie McMurray in trouble right here because he'd been running in the top 5 or 6 before he pitted.
But it's going to help the 21 car because the 21 car needed to close up that gap, and he did.
How does this start?
I think the 27 car was in the way. He's been in the way quite a bit. He's tried to stay high. He's tried to stay low, looking for a place so people could go by him, and I think McMurray just closed too fast.
But you're right, Darrell. I think it's a payoff for Kevin Harvick because I anticipate that Scott Riggs, Tony Raines, Jason Keller, those guys will be on the pit.
Traffic has taken its toll again. Entering turn 3, second and third place cars, Scott Riggs and Scott Wimmer collide.
Started off at turn 2. The 27 car's up in the way again. That's about the third time. And they try to split him, and when they get down there to the third turn, they hang into each other.
And problem to Dick Berger, and the problem is the fact the car that caused that was 35 laps down.
Well, yeah, Wimmer is in right now. His crew chief has told him go behind the wall. The signboard is out for the 10, Scott Riggs. What a shame they were running in second and third spot, both with very strong cars. Now both badly bent up.
Let's show you what happened.
Starts over here off at turn 2. This 27 car here, who is, I don't know, 30-some laps down, he's been in the way quite a bit. And when they get to the corner, because one's low, one's high, and they just collide right there. It's unfortunate. Two guys up there racing, putting on a good show. And
here, does it look like they're both fighting for the bottom of the racetrack?
Well,
they get
I don't think, Wimmer's going by on the outside. I don't know if he knows that Riggs is coming up the inside hard like he was or not. And when he gets to the corner, he's got to turn in, and Riggs was there. I think Wimmer's focusing right now on the 27. He says, okay, I'm by him. And then here comes, see, he doesn't know that the 10 come from he didn't know he'd come down underneath the 27. Man, that was a hard lick too, Larry, right up on top of that wall.
Yes, it was.
Two fast cars fighting for the same acre of racetrack. On board, Scott Wimmer.
He's coming off of turn 2. He goes by on the outside. He feels really good. He turns down. Whoops, somebody was there.
I tell you, this was a big break for Jimmy Spencer, who was about to come to pit road.
And the way he's running, Hornaday and that second pack will catch him.
Whoa, Chase Montgomery gets to the side of McMurray.
Across the grass, across pit road.
Roof flaps put him back on the ground. That car was fixing to take off when those roof flaps deployed. It put him back on the ground.
And the best thing they ever did was pave all this right through here.
Caution is out. Caution is out.
No contact for Chase Montgomery, thank goodness, because that car came across the tri-oval grass like a rocket sled.
Now what this would mean, this would give those guys an opportunity at the front to make it to pit road, but remember, cautions don't use as much fuel as green flag laps.
They won't come to pit road now.
Fourth caution of the day comes out on lap 111.
If you were close, you'll make it fine.
I'm going to tell you guys, that's as good of pictures I've seen of what the roof flaps do. And you see the roof flap right there. I mean, you watch him come through the grass right here. He's going to get into the left rear of Jamie McMurray. This is right through the tri-oval, Darrell. Right in the middle of the tri-oval. Sends him sideways through the grass. Watch this right here. I mean, this is amazing. This car was fixing to take off. Rear wheels off the ground. Roof flaps come up, back down on the ground.
Deployed as flaps. And if that, a few years ago, that was all grass right there, and it could have been disastrous, but they paved that, and it's really helped. He just gets a run there. He gets a big run on the 46 car, and he tries to move to the outside and makes contact with Jamie McMurray. Boy, and I tell you, I was looking at the end of pit road there, thought he was going to catch the end of that wall, but stayed off of it.
Now Montgomery is still on the lead lap, and NASCAR will open the pits for a quickie yellow. That means not just lead lap cars, but all cars are eligible to pit as soon as the pits open, and then we go back to green.
Now Mike Wallace in the 4 car, you see a lot of damage to Chase Montgomery's car, but Mike Wallace.
Jason could have made it 3 wide. Now we have trouble. Chase Montgomery is in the wall in turn 4, and that will bring out the first yellow flag. Good news for Brian Vickers, and now more trouble. Steve Grissom is now involved, and we see another car spinning down through there, and that's Chris Bingham. A lot of damage to the back end of that car. And Regan Smith, his buffalo nose is kind of punched in right there. So, or is that Lipscomb University? That's Brad Baker.
Yeah, that's Brad Baker's car. He made it to pit road with a lot of damage to the front of that car.
And a lot of oil has been laid down on the racetrack. We also saw a little bit of a fire from the back of Steve Grissom's car, but it is out. We see some debris there as those cars slowly make their way by to take the caution flag. It is the first one of the afternoon. There's the man who touched off that multi-car melee, Chase Montgomery. Here's another look at that wreck.
Oh, I think we got an engine problem. That's Chase Montgomery's smoke prior to starting to spin. Then the tire smoke. Yeah, smoke coming out of the tailpipes there as he's backwards against the wall. And that's really what caused the second part. These guys got in the oil. The 49 car, he slid in the oil, got up into the outside wall. And very fortunate. The leaders just got by there. Randy LaJoie, Scott Riggs. There's Bobby Hamilton Jr. He's doing all he can do to avoid the accident, and here comes on the grid right now of 40 drivers who have taken time. The 27, Chase Montgomery, next driver out.
We need to document we've had 40 cars qualify, actually 39 because Jerry Reary did not take the green flag. Right now, Dion Ciccarelli, Larry Gunzelman, Norm Benning, and Jerry Reary have been bumped out of the top 36. More than likely, Ciccarelli and Norm Benning will be 2 of the 11 cars that will be going to the house.
Chase Montgomery won the ARCA race at Daytona and back in February, and it looked like he wiggled coming off too.
He really did. Again, most of these cars all day long, to me, Larry, really have not looked like they had really a lot of grip. Cars sliding around the racetrack a whole lot. Drivers try to kind of like, I think, hustle down these corners too much. Whoa, the car takes a big dive off of turn 2 once again. But what you got to do is basically get out early, float it down in the corner, but really think about picking that throttle up really aggressively and hug that bottom as you come off the corners.
He's 30th quickest on his first lap. This is the first time that Chase has ever raced here. And Steve, you were talking about it earlier as he slows down just a little bit. This is the team that Johnny Sauter will be driving for full-time next year. The full schedule, 1 car.
Dave Burns has Ron Horton.
1 spin in turn 4. Is that Chase Montgomery? Yep. Second caution flag. Now here's the big challenge for you, Wally and BP. You just pitted for a set of tires at 39.
This is tough. Now this is a tough decision. Man, you can't stop, can you?
No.
You just can't.
You only get 3 sets under caution.
Can't do it.
Nope, gotta stay out there. Although I'm sure they're not all going to listen to what I have to say, but I would want to come in and get tires, of course. But
and they all do, but it's only, I think, the cars that really need some help handling-wise that are going to come in. and maybe not even change tires.
And if you're new to NASCAR, in the Busch Series, unlike the Winston Cup Series where they can change tires as many times as they want, they're limited in the Busch Series to try and help save expense.
Goes up, makes contact with Brad Loney, and trying to avoid spinning the 96 car out. Spun himself out,
yeah,
basically.
He went in there and just slid up the racetrack. You're on the edge anyway.
This is the restart earlier on. Oh, Chase goes down on the inside of Tammy Joe.
Yeah, and
on the apron. Whoa.
NASCAR race director David Hoots over in the tower kind of spent about a lap chastising it.
Round out the 36 truck starting field, and then unfortunately 5 guys or 5 trucks will go home, and again hopefully Kelly will have run fast enough or have enough points to get it. She did not run fast enough to qualify, but hopefully she'll have enough points to get it.
This last qualifier, you know, little drama here as we got Terry Cook paying a lot of attention because this is Chase Montgomery, who just happened to be the second fastest truck in second practice today. So you know that Terry's thinking this could be a concern here.
This is one of those guys that you're going to watch the Nextel poll that has the different numbers on it telling who's on top and who's in second.
Yeah,
currently that 10's up top.
The truck's out of the Bobby Hamilton stable. It has been the fastest, so we'll just have to see.
Tennessee native Chase Montgomery jumping on board with the Tennessee base team of Bobby Hamilton Racing.
Talked to his father in the garage area because the truck was going through inspection, and they're very, very excited to be with Bobby Hamilton Racing and very excited to be here at Daytona. And Chase is doing a whale of a job wheeling this thing around here. Been awfully fast in practice, and we'll see what happens here. We're going to see if he gets the pole here in about 3 more seconds.
And he'll have another lap, but as he goes across the start-finish line, second quick for Chase Montgomery, 49.150. Now, he's got some work to do if he wants to take that pole away from Terry Cook.
Oh, 1,500 is quite a bit to pick up, but we saw Travis pick it up. So it's possible. Terry Cook knows it's possible.
You know, the one way this truck may pick up a lot is if he has a real high gear. And even though these trucks get up this, as you hear Terry Cook say, they shut it down. They only ran 1 lap. So Terry Cook is our pole sitter.
Terry Cook claiming the pole, and this is the first time at
turn 4.
Oh, a big accident on turn number 4.
Mike Skinner, the 42. Ted Musgrave, the 1.
That's a super speedway crash.
Joey Clanton in the 40. Oh, man.
59 of Randy LaJoy. Looks like the 8 maybe of Chase Montgomery.
We saw the pole sitter, Terry Cook slide through that mess without any damage.
There's Bobby Hamilton getting going. There's Randy LaJoy. Look at the right front tire there. It's not supposed to be there, Michael.
Shortened up his wheelbase on that right side. Bobby's got some damage to the left front. Bobby Hamilton, I'm speaking of. You can see Randy there's in trouble.
Ted Musgrave, unbelievable. 2 years in a row, they've had problems with that Mopar Dodge.
Phil, you had to see that coming.
It was. The way these trucks are dancing around, and these guys, they're running 2 and 3 wide. There's Ken Weaver, Joe Aramendia, 2 and 3 wide. These trucks dancing around. This racetrack is not as wide as Talladega. Talladega seems like it's about 2 lanes wider than this one. There's just not enough room to do that.
Serious damage to the 8 of Chase Montgomery. Outside pole was his starting position. And his evening is done.
I'm going to say between 10 and 12 trucks, Phil, off turn 4.
See Shelby Howard, the 23 truck on pit road with a lot of damage. There's Shane Sieg, the 07 truck with quite a bit of front end damage.
And we saw Ted getting caught up in that, so it must have been a problem at the front because Ted was leading the race.
Right front's rolling now.
Jack Sprague is backing down pit road with some damage. There's Jack Sprague right there, our 3-time champion back in the series full time.
Tracy Hines in the 88. You see that truck at the back of pit road. Mentioned the 40 of Joey Clanton also involved sliding.
The accident occurred about mid-pack, Rick. Somebody on the bottom of the racetrack. I couldn't really get an eyeball on it. Let's see a replay on it here.
This is the beginning of the accident.
Oh, it looked like the 16 truck of Sprague was up under Tracy Hines, Phil.
Yeah.
He had made a move under Tracy. Tracy didn't know he was there. Those trucks got together.
And it just slid them right back up in front of all these trucks coming. As you mentioned, it was mid-pack, but the pack was as many trucks on the racetrack. That's how big the pack was.
Ted Musgrave looked as though he was slowing down. He was leading earlier, just a lap before, and looked as though he was slowing down on the inside of the track and got caught up in all this. Maybe he was coming in for a stop.
You see Jack Sprague get turned around sideways, and the truck turns back around, goes back up the racetrack, right in front of all these trucks.
Wow.
And you can see what those guys see. Absolutely nothing. Just smoke.
Let's check out some of these guys that did a good job slipping through this deal.
Sprague got hit pretty hard there by Musgrave. There's Bobby Hamilton sliding around.
That's a track blocker, Phil. Nobody got through it.
Well, there's Ken Weaver coming in and hitting the 31 of J.R. Armendia really, really hard.
And we apologize. We would be showing you in truck cameras or onboard cameras, but again, I wanted to let you know the ceiling, the clouds are just so low over the track that our helicopter is not able to fly over the track to give us that coverage, and so we will not be able to bring those onboards to you. But
there's Andy Houston. I didn't know that he was in this accident.
Terrible damage for many trucks, and we'll get you updated on as many of them as we can.
That's 2 trucks in 2 days for that team.
Ultra Motorsports team. A year ago, Ted Musgrave lost a tire and it went right into the 2 of Jason Leffler, and both trucks were taken out in the same accident, and 1 year later the same thing happens.
Can you imagine 2 years in a row losing both your trucks in the same accident?
Randy LaJoie in the number 59. Problems as well. Caution number 5 came out because of this.
God. Vicious, Rick.
Welcome back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Florida Dodge Dealers 250 live on Speed. The crowd getting their money's worth. The big one happening as they came out of turn number 4. A lot of trucks involved in our 5th caution. They're still sorting out all the damage at the entrance to pit road.
Yeah, for that reason, pit road will be closed until they get all the debris and the trucks cleaned off. This is the start of it right here. You see the 16 of Jack Sprague. He's going to come down a little bit on the 88 of Tracy Hines, but it's not, I don't think it's a situation where he just turned left to come down. These trucks are moving around so much, Michael. His truck probably just went that way, and he had no control over it.
The 88 throwing smoke up, leading in front of this entire pack. Nobody can see what's going on.
Yeah, and Tracy Hines he was a victim of circumstance. He just was minding his own business right on the bottom of the road. And either Jack didn't realize he was under him and dove for the bottom, or the truck might have gotten sideways with Jack a little bit.
I believe that's Mike Skinner.
Mike Skinner
was just in front of Tracy Hines and made it down pit road.
I think Mike had some damage though.
Yeah.
There aren't many trucks that didn't have some damage from this accident.
Ray?
Well, you're right. There is some damage on Mike Skinner's Toyota, but it's on the right front. It's not enough to knock him out of this race, but they...
Well, we're working our 5th caution period here during the Florida.
And we hope that's not enough to knock Ray out of the race.
Don't tear it all out.
We'll try to get back to Ray. Having a little technical difficulty with that microphone, but Mike Skinner. These are the trucks that were involved in this last crash.
It's like 15, 16 trucks involved in this wreck. Boy, when they're running so close together like this, it's just so hard to avoid something.
Add Bobby Hamilton to that list.
Bobby was definitely involved in that accident.
His crew should get overtime pay tonight. They've been working on that truck since they said go.
Mike Skinner was involved in that accident, so now we're up to what, 17?
there you can see Bobby got a little bit more damage this time. Be interesting to see if they've got anything left up there to put back together, Phil.
They've been working on this thing continuously since that earlier accident with Steve Park.
Battle of attrition.
Well, you can hang around and try to be conservative and be careful and do all those things to try to.
Terry Cook just out in front of Bobby Hamilton, and again Bill Lester spinning and problems. A hard hit. Joe Aramendia involved in Chase Montgomery in the 8, having problems on the backstretch.
Caution flags breed caution flags, and looked like Bill had some contact from behind, got turned around, left him in the middle of the racetrack, and these trucks are going so fast down that backstretch. Some hard contact.
We see Joe Aramendia moving around, taking the steering wheel off.
Looks like Bill's moving around there too. You can see his head bobbing around inside the truck right there.
Disappointed, very frustrated, getting spun around, and then the cars or trucks coming up behind him, and you see the massive damage to the 8 of Chase Montgomery.
He's moving around also in the truck, so that's a great sign. This was really reminiscent of the crash we had at Atlanta with Tina Gordon, Hank Parker Jr., and Rick Crawford. A truck sitting almost stationary in the backstretch, and these trucks coming along at probably 90 to 100 miles an hour and running into them, making some hard contact.
Steve Park in the 62.
A victim
again.
For the 4th consecutive race, Steve Park has been run into on this racetrack.
Let's take another look at how our 12th caution has come out today in Ohio.
I think Bill Lester's going to got a little help getting turned around there. He wasn't quite able to keep it on the bottom of the racetrack. Look, they're 3-4 wide there. Carl tried to avoid him, and 2 trucks had nowhere to go. The 31 of Joe Aramendia, it looked like Chase Montgomery in the 8 truck, had nowhere to go, ran into the side of him. There's Steve there. That's the 78 of Charlie Bradbury. Turn around, and Steve, again, nowhere to go, a victim of circumstances.
Unbelievable, the luck of the Orleans 62.
See another look there. Looks like maybe Brandon Witt might have gotten the back of Bill, turned him around a little bit. Bill tries to keep the truck down on the bottom of the racetrack and did a pretty good job, but they were 3 and 4 wide coming off of turn 2 there, because the trucks that saw Bill spin backed off, and that just allowed all the trucks to just get jumbled up there in a big pile.
You remember Sean Parker making the comment earlier to Ted Musgrave, we don't want to be in the back because we don't want to get caught in something like this. And so the red flag has come out as the safety crews are attending to the problems on the backstretch.
There was quite a bit of debris on the backstretch there because there's so many trucks that made some hard contact with each other. So they need to take time, clean the racetrack up. We want no flat tires, so we have a good almost 20 laps of good hard green flag racing for the win.
Here are the trucks that were involved in this one. Chase Montgomery, Bill Lester again spinning out of turn 2, coming to a stop, and then nowhere to go for Chase Montgomery and Joe Aramendia. Steve Park and Charlie Bradbury getting caught up in this as well.
And a crash in turn number 1. We go over to see the 29. Problems with Brad Keselowski. His first run here in a truck.
The 8 truck of Chase Montgomery also involved in that crash. As was, I think, the 06 in that field.
Not sure if he got any contact with that or not. But 29 of Brad Keselowski was doing a terrific job. He was running in the top 15. There's Chase Montgomery, the 8 truck right there.
Brad's been able to adapt to these trucks in a hurry and run competitively. I don't know what happened here, but his speed has been impressive.
He's got a good head on his shoulders. Pretty young guy, but does a great job in the local short tracks back around Michigan and Ohio. But this is, I think, his 3rd start in the truck. Unfortunately, it's going to come to an early end.
Family team. Bob Keselowski does the crew chief duties. His mom, Kay Keselowski, is up above being his spotter. Let's take a look again at turn 1.
Drive down the front straightaway.
It blew up.
Yeah, sure did. Look at that.
That'll cause you to crash.
Yeah, no, you see the 8 truck getting sideways in the oil right there. Certainly no fault of Brad's.
And the leaders had the leaders just lapped him?
No, I don't know if there's Hank Parker Jr., the 21 truck. He's currently in the 17th position, so they were well comfortably on the lead lap when that happened.
Running on board with Andy Houston. You see it behind him. Toyota's Robert Huffman also with the view of this and trying to avoid the oil laid down on the track by Brad Keselowski. Third caution out on the track.
This was a 2-3 truck pileup.
That's Terry Cook, and it looks like Chase Montgomery in the 8 gets into the back of Terry Cook. He goes spinning up. Terry Cook into the wall. Chase Montgomery is able to save it, stay out of the wall, but you see the 12 of Robert Huffman getting caught up in that, and Robert had a great run tonight.
He sure did. With career best finish last week in the top 10, and unfortunately Terry Cook spun around right in front of him. Robert had absolutely nowhere to go, but Terry Cook was trying to race. He was on the lead lap racing for position. Chase Montgomery was on the inside also racing for position. Terry came down a little bit. They made some contact, and around Terry went.
Yeah, and I want to draw attention to that 22 of Bill Lester, currently in 16th spot. You know, he has had a lot of bad luck, and I know everybody at Bill Davis Racing is happy to see Bill Lester, I mean, by inches make it through that wreck.
Seems like every accident there's been, but it was close to Bill Lester. He's been unfortunately caught up in it, but as you mentioned, he did a great job avoiding some major damage in that accident.
Yeah, Bill Lester has always qualified in the top 10, you know, keeping a steady wheel tonight, and currently right now in 16th spot. Well, you never want to see this. Robert Huffman and Terry Cook both being hooked up. And I said it was going to be a thriller in Manila, right, guys? I mean, Muhammad Ali, we're coming down to the end.
If this is Manila, we've definitely got a thriller.
It's awesome, but, oh, man, I mean, how could we cover it all, guys? We're talking about the race for the lead, you know, in front of us. Then to the right of us, we got a 3-truck pileup, and, you know, it's all a do-over now.
Carl Edwards. And sideways, going through 3 and 4.
No caution yet.
Chase Montgomery.
There comes the caution flag. It looked like Chase just got down on the inside of someone, a whole lot like Ricky Craven did into one, and lost the truck on entrance. Now he's getting her backed up and on his way.
He's not going to lose a lap. Chase was running up in the top 10. He's going to stay on the lead lap.
Now this caution coming out, we probably have a few trucks that were in fear of not being able to make it to 200. Will they jump in right now and top off?
See, there's David Rudham in the 17 truck on the inside of the 8 truck of Chase Montgomery.
Wow.
Looks like Chase, Jamie McMurray just gets by on the inside. Looked like he might have been just a little bit wide, maybe like he hung the right rear out. Michael in the loose stuff getting in turn number 3. Did a great job not getting that truck into the outside wall.
At that time, and that's a textbook pass right here. And we have a spin.
Problem
Chase Montgomery down turns 1 and 2.
Right in the center of turns 1 and 2. He gets spun around and has some damage to the back of that truck. Significant damage.
Yeah, flat left rear tire. Obviously, the tire's almost off the wheel. Chase was running pretty well early. Looks like he might have just had a flat left rear tire. I'm sorry.
So Philly was probably trying to get into the pits. He was slow, running on the high side. The tire started to come off the rim and got jammed in between the wheel and the body.
They made some contact with the soft walls. We call them soft walls. They're still pretty hard, but
they're very hard.
But they sure do minimize the impact that a driver feels, and a truck for that matter.
A lot of damage to the 8 truck. There was also a lot of damage to the 62 truck that they've been working on. We saw earlier team owner, partial team owner, and Nextel Cup driver Brendan.
920, so they've lost a second in just 40 laps. But there's a blown motor going into turn 4.
Caution's out.
Right in front of the leader, you saw Jack Sprague drive by. There's Chase Montgomery, the 8 truck. Looks like he might have made some contact either coming off turn number 2 or maybe at the exit of the dogleg in the backstretch.
It looks like he might have blown that right front tire field just as he made the dogleg on the back straightaway and hit the outside retaining wall. There's a mark on the outside wall.
Big mark right there. They do have the safer barriers here, but that looks like that's a spot that the safer barrier has not been installed yet. It's on around that straightaway towards the corner a little bit.
Did a lot of damage to that truck.
See the window net's down.
Let's take a look at what took place.
Here they are exiting the dogleg right here. Definitely, Michael, as you said, the right front tire went down. And I'm sure he turned the steering wheel, but it did nothing when that right front tire went down.
Well, I just said they would all pit if the caution came out around lap 40.
I would think they will all come. Right now, the pit road is being shown as closed, the flagman, but he's switching the flag now. He's going to. It's the fourth, and he's the only driver.
Oh, there we go.
Here's a problem. Kerry Earnhardt gets spun sideways. Problem stacking up behind him. Cars racing down pit road again. Chase Montgomery involved in this one. Regan Smith. Shiggy Hattori.
Todd Cleaver.
Problems again for Todd Cleaver. Brandon Witt makes it into the infield.
And here comes the trucks by that laid back. You see Jack Sprague, Steve Park, Casey Atwood. They all laid back. Bobby Hamilton.
Bobby Hamilton's just now getting to the crash scene field. He's up in first gear, idling through.
Yeah, and a lot of the trucks that laid back with him went down pit road. Pretty good call to lay back here, wasn't it, Michael?
I don't see where it was the wrong thing to do. Knowing the history of this event, knowing what was going on in the front, Shiggy must have got his throttle stuck a little bit.
Pole sitter Kerry Earnhardt making his way across the infield.
It started with Kerry, but he might have got hit. I mean, no telling what happened to turn Kerry. He was the first truck I saw out of control, but they were asking for it.
Each and every lap, we saw them come off turn 4, 3 wide, bouncing around, dancing. You see Chase Montgomery with a considerable amount of damage to the Federated Auto Parts Dodge. There's Ron Hornaday. Had such a great run, a good strategy. Look at all the damage to that Goodwrench Chevrolet.
And more damage will continue to take place as the rubber is torn away from the tires.
This is another truck that was hauling the mail.
Regan Smith, such a great run. His 4th start ever in the Truck Series. Led this race. See if we can take a look at what caused this, Michael. Here they are coming through turn number 4. See, Kerry's right on the bottom of the racetrack. He looks like he gets a little bit sideways right beside David Runham. It didn't look like there was any contact. It looked like it just got loose on the inside. When you're on the inside of another truck, it robs that truck of air off the spoiler. It looks like it just got loose. Take another look.
They're side by side, and it's just almost impossible when you're driving that close together and you're trying to do it 3 wide to keep the thing going straight.
See Tracy, Matt Craft on the 88 gets run into from behind, gets turned around. And watch these, there's Dennis Setzer, Chad Chaffa. They go down pit road at 180 miles an hour, just like Carl Edwards did last year, and he came back and won the race.
Are you okay?
Take a look at it at regular speed.
Doesn't look like anybody was hurt, Phil. That's the best part of it. They're all able to walk away or drive away.
Let's take a ride with Kerry Earnhardt. This is not going to be much fun. See Brandon Witt's truck on the hook. Here's Kerry on the inside. You heard him playing with the throttle even before he got sideways, so he obviously knew his truck was a little bit loose, and then when he kind of sucked up into the side of David Runham, it just pulled him around.
Let's see what Setzer sees. Look at this move.
Watch him go down pit road here. Wow. See all the trucks crashing in the background over on the racetrack, and Dennis is just idling down pit road about 140 miles an hour.
Whoa. Shiggy Hattori, that was at the end of that one. Regan Smith in the 19 just in front of him.
He may not have had any brakes. As much damage as Shiggy had to that truck.
Flames coming out from underneath the Goodwrench Chevrolet of Ron Hornaday.
That's those shredded up, torn up tires. Rubber getting against, maybe knocking a hole in the oil cooler and causing a fire under the hood. Pretty good fire, Phil.
Yeah, sure is. It looks like right in the spindle area, so that's probably, you mentioned rubber maybe getting on the headers or something like that.
Cars being taken back to the garage. This is why we're under caution number 3. Kerry Earnhardt in the Albertsons number 15 gets sideways, checks up and makes his way back across the track in front of Ron Hornaday, and then numerous trucks caught up in this incident. We'll be back with more from Florida.
Musgrave pit stop.
Looks like, we got a crash. Shiggy and Chase.
Chase Montgomery in the number 18, Shiggy Hattori in the number 9. Chase trying to back up
This is going to be a horrible break for some of these drivers that have already made pit stops. Ted Musgrave and Jimmy Spencer, Terry Cook, Brandon Witt have all made their pit stops. And now will find themselves at least one lap down, Michael.
Have to see how this shuffles out, Phil. Not the timing you want, obviously, for a caution flag. About 3 or 4 laps ago, everybody on pit road would have been happy to see this caution. Now the guys that have already pitted have dug themselves a deeper hole than we saw Mike Bliss start in.
We saw the 30 of Chad Cheffin come on pit road. When the caution flag came out, he elected to go straight back on the racetrack, so that may have saved him a lap.
Let me ask you both right now, as we're going to take a look at what took place here.
See Chad's coming down pit road. He's going to get a report. He starts to stop. He says, no, the caution flag's out. Let me get back to the racetrack. That may have saved him a lap. See Bobby Hamilton 04 truck. I wonder if he did the same thing. If he stopped in his pits and did his pit service, he will find himself a lap down.
I wanted to ask you now, if you're Rick Crawford right now, who came in under green flag situations and put fuel in his truck, does he not come in right now to try to get that lap back?
I think that's exactly what you have to do. Whatever you did on your pit stop, your tires only have 2 or 3 laps on them. You need to get to the front of the line so that you're one of the first few trucks 1 lap down and get that lap back first. That's the first thing we got to get done. We can't worry about any other problems or issues that might be happening with that truck. We got to get back on the lead lap.
And remember, Rick Crawford, he just came in for enough time to pull that plastic off his grill, so his tires have 43 laps on them. And all these other trucks that are on the lead lap will make their pit stops under caution and have fresh tires. So Michael, you've been on this racetrack today with 40 lap tires. He won't be able to keep up, will he?
You can't. The tires do fall off quite considerably. We ran 43 laps. The fastest lap in the race is right around a 41 flat, and these guys were running up past 42 flat. So you definitely need some tires at this point. But if you just pitted, you got tires, and you only got 3 or 4 laps on them, you want to stay on the racetrack and get that track position.
2 trucks getting worked on. The 9 of Shiggy Hattori and also the 18 of Chase Montgomery.
Bad news for Chad Cheffin. Even though he did not stop for his pit work, he is being shown 1 lap down, along with Jimmy Spencer, Ted Musgrave, Terry Cook, Bobby Hamilton.
I think Sean Murphy will get the free pass, Phil. He hadn't pitted. He had just fallen a lap down due to his performance. So he'll grab this one. See who gets the next one.
It'll be a good fight to see who gets this next one with Rick Crawford and Chad Cheffin, Bobby Hamilton, Jimmy Spencer. You've got so many good trucks now by virtue of the fact that they had already made their pit stop, that they're all finding themselves 1 lap down, and there's only so many free passes to go around.
And when we saw Chad Cheffin come in there, he was going pretty quick, and by virtue of him not stopping, it looked like he may have run over an air hose that the tire changer had already come across the other side of the truck.
That should be a pass-through, isn't it, Phil?
I think that would be a pass-through penalty.
A lap penalty.
See, Bobby Hamilton's 04 truck is back on pit road.
What's up with that truck? He's not running like we see Bobby Hamilton run on these tracks.
You know, Michael, I think he probably drove the smartest, as smart a race as I've ever seen anyone run last year. Now, last week at Daytona, and he won the race. Now, a lot of people, you see the hood up right now, so he may have some problems. A lot of people have good strategy, but it doesn't always work. It worked perfectly for Bobby Hamilton. It could not have worked better. I wonder if he was maybe adopting a similar kind of strategy, knowing there's going to be a couple, 3 caution flags in this race, maybe ride around for a little bit, save my stuff. You think?
I don't think that works here. I bet you that there's something wrong with that truck. He doesn't like the way it's driving. It's got a miss. Something's going on with it that's kept him from running toward the front. I thought it was pretty cool last Friday night after the truck race. Dale Jr. called me up and he said, Bobby Hamilton made all them other guys look silly. You know, he didn't tear up his truck. He rode around. He waited till the time to go, and he went and he won the race. He said, you know, anytime you have a plan like that, a lot of times a young driver, a team will say, oh man, this isn't any fun. I got to go up middle of all that. Bobby owns his truck. He don't care what anybody else thinks. He had a plan and he stuck to it and won the race. What a great race that was last week.
And his plan really started at the beginning of the week. He ran 2 laps of practice prior to qualifying, saved all his tires. He actually had another set of tires in the pits had he needed them, but he had the same plan. He stuck with it for the entire week, and he ended up in victory lane.
Here comes our leader. David Starr brings the lead lap trucks down pit road. Let's go down first to Windy.
Ron Hornaday makes his way into his pit stall, maintaining the 55-mile-an-hour pit road speed. His crew goes to work. Jason Meeks on the front, Kyle Ketchman on the rear, Jason Tate jacking. The truck was a little loose, so they made an air pressure adjustment. Everything looked trucks. Pretty routine here in Ron Hornaday's pit. Ray?
The Flame Guard Chevy of David Starr was just wanting to be tightened up a little bit coming off of the turn, so they went down 1 round on the track bar. 4 tires and gas for these guys. You see the 23, Johnny Benson, he wanted to go up on air pressure on the right front and down on air pressure on the right rear. The 75 will be just barely beaten off pit road by the 6 of Ron Hornaday. They had a good race there, but Starr will lose the lead to Hornaday.
Good pit work by Wally Rogers and his entire team for Ron Hornaday.
So the first truck that's been in front of David Starr all night is Ron Hornaday. We're under caution number 2, California Speedway. That is Chase Montgomery's number 18 trying to make his way down pit road.
Between the spring race last year and the fall race, and it really took away that outside groove a little bit. We got trouble already.
Brad Keselowski gets spun around, taking up with him Chase Montgomery in the 18, the 50 of Todd Cleaver, the 8 of Deborah Renshaw.
Wow.
And it looked as though Brad Keselowski was coming into turn 1 and got on the brakes, and the rear brakes locked up and spun around on him.
Well, when there's not a lot of temperature in the brakes yet, that can happen to you. You have to be real careful with your brakes early in the going. Braking is such an important factor here at Martinsville, and you got to really be careful.
When we come back, we'll take a look at the problems of the Keselowski K Automotive team, number 29, as he makes his way down pit road.
Trucks aren't. It looked like he could cut right under Ron, but he wasn't really showing his hand yet, like you said.
And as he mentioned, it's so hard to get a bite of it. And his truck, Danny Rollins was telling me this morning that his truck was so good. We got a little bit of a conflict on who wants to line up on the inside here. You see the 18 of Chase Montgomery on the inside, the 59 trucks in the middle of Robert Presley. They need to get in line before they get to turn 3.
Well, obviously a problem that the pace truck is going to stay back out. They're not going to go green here as they're 3 wide, and the drivers are told if you have a question, you pull on the inside, NASCAR will make the call, and then you fall into line where you're supposed to be. And obviously someone didn't understand those commands.
It looks like Knoxville right now. I like it. I think they should start 3 wide from now on. It'd be more exciting.
One thing we know for sure is Ron Hornaday's leading this race, and he's supposed to be the first truck on the outside line, right?
Well, guys, the problem was Chase Montgomery was stuck on the high line, and he couldn't get down. He kept going up there and bumping Robert Presley to tell him to move so that he could get in line with him, and then that's why he was not able to dispute NASCAR's call of what truck was in what position, so they'll have to sort this out in the tower.
They're still 3 wide, Ray, and the pace truck has gone off of the track, and nobody is going to let Chase Montgomery in, and so obviously there's a problem. Now Robert Huffman drops back a little bit, and he will let Chase Montgomery in, and so it is sorted out. Chase Montgomery in the 18, he comes to a stop.
The 13 ran right to the side of him.
Tracy Hines getting into the side of him, and that makes it caution number 13. Unlucky 13. That's how many we had a year ago here.
For the number 13 truck, he didn't know where to go that time, and it looks like he got his radiator on that one.
What a tough break for Tracy Hines. Remember, we're being shown 6 laps to go, but this race will not end under caution. We will get at least 1 attempt at a green-white checker, so no matter how long it takes to clean this mess up, we will see the green flag once again.
Fluid being laid down on the track in turn to Benson. Problems in the front stretch. Bouncing off the wall, Chase Montgomery hitting the inside wall hard. Bringing out our 4th caution of the night.
He actually went all the way down, hit the inside wall, and then came back across in front of some trucks, hit the outside wall, and then stopped on the track.
John, we can see him moving around in this truck, so that's a good sign. You see his window nets down. That's his sign to the rescue workers that he's okay.
But you'll see the wall that he actually hit on the inside is not one of the softer walls, and that's one of the things where the evolution of the tracks as we go along. We saw it last week at Dover, where they're going to start putting the softer walls on those inside walls just to cushion those kind of blows that come out of nowhere. I don't know what happened. We can see the marks.
We'll take a look at it after we take a short break. We saw Chase Montgomery jumping out of the number 18, and so we hope everything's okay with him. We'll be back with more from Fort Worth, Texas. Welcome back to Fort Worth, Texas. The red flag has actually come out. Chase Montgomery's number 18 blocking the turn 1 area, and so they've stopped all the trucks right in front of the flag stand. Chase Montgomery is out of the truck. He is walking under his own power. He was able to wave to the fans as the safety crew were helping him into the ambulance. He'll go into the infield care center and be checked out.
Had a 3 wide situation there. Bobby Hamilton 0-4, the 12 of Robert Huffman, and the 18. Unfortunately, Chase takes the worst of it. He's going to make some pretty hard contact with the inside wall right there, which propels him back across the racetrack. So you can get another look at it. Watch how hard he's going to hit the inside wall here, driver's side. And as you mentioned, John, no softer wall there. That was a hard wall.
Well, and the other thing, too, is when you hit on the left side, so much of our seats are set up because of the G loading and always turning left to hold you in the right side. But when you hit on that left side, that's a tough blow. You kind of see him holding his left side as he went to the ambulance and probably knocked the wind out of him.
Take a look at it full speed.
Bobby was going on the inside, made it 3 wide. They came together. Chase gets just turned straight towards the inside wall.
I can tell you that's a lonely feeling when you're heading to a wall like that.
It feels like it takes about 5 minutes for you to get there, but you know it's going to hurt every one of those seconds it takes you to get there.
We saw a hard hit here a year ago. David Rudeman, Bill Lester involved in an accident coming out of turn number 4. They actually hit the safer barriers.
Similar situation with David Rudeman.
From the drop of the green flag, we've seen 3 wide racing. Problem smoking coming out. That's the 04 of Bobby Hamilton. Oh, and some hard contact there. Chase Montgomery also involved in this.
Brendan Gaughan was involved, and I think Boris, the 14, was involved. A lot of damage to the 18 truck of Chase Montgomery. That's Brendan Gaughan, the yellow truck, against the outside wall. You see Bobby Hamilton on the inside of your racetrack with his truck backwards. Our runner-up right now in the point standings.
Unbelievable night for some of the stars of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Rick Crawford in qualifying wrecks his truck, is not able to get into it. Now Bobby Hamilton, who was second or is second in our point standings, he is in an accident and could be out of this race. This is Boris Said driving the 14. He has considerable damage to that truck.
Well, he sure does. What a horrible break. They were just trying to survive this race and work on this truck, make it better. See if we can take a look at what happened. So you see Boris.
It looks as though Boris started headed right up the track.
Looks like maybe he had a right front tire or something going down, because he went to the corner instead of taking his normal line to the left. He went straight, made some contact with Bobby Hamilton. That's what started all this. And a lot of trucks got caught up in it. The 18, here we take another look at it. Watch the 14 truck. He just goes straight, makes some contact with Bobby Hamilton. They're sliding sideways. When they come down off the banking, that's when Boris makes some contact with the 18, and 18 goes back up the racetrack and hits the 77 of Brendan Gaughan. There's Chad Chaffin, the 60 truck, turning around.
Also involved in this one. And we see a lot of damage to that 04. You see him sliding sideways right there.
Another Chase Montgomery does a great job trying to avoid it, but unfortunately Boris comes down the racetrack, makes some contact. That sends him back up the racetrack into the 77 of Brendan Gaughan.
Well, Boris Said right now might be saying, I wish I would have stayed up in the booth. Well, while they clean up the second caution of the night, we'll cut away for a commercial break and be back with the story of caution 2.
Everything else.
Welcome back to the Built Ford Tough 225 on Speed Channel from Kentucky Speedway. The 14 of Boris Said, the 04 of Bobby Hamilton, the 77 of Brendan Gaughan, and the 18 of Chase Montgomery, all involved in this accident, which has brought out our second caution of the night.
Red flag is out. Let's see if we can take a look at what happened. We saw some sparks from the right front corner of the 14 truck. He went straight when he got down in that corner instead of taking his normal arc into the corner. That made contact with Bobby Hamilton. And then they came down off the racetrack, made some contact with Chase Montgomery, turned him around back up the racetrack, and he ran into Brendan Gaughan.
There's another look. That's after the initial contact. But watch Boris as he comes down the racetrack. He's going to hit the 18 of Chase Montgomery, turn him up the racetrack into the 77 of Brendan Gaughan. Brendan had just about stopped trying to avoid this accident, and all of a sudden here comes the 18 truck coming from the bottom of the racetrack. Watch real close to the right front of that 14 truck. See the sparks right in that area right there. That's the 14 truck in the middle. You saw the sparks. I think he either had a tire going down when he got down to that corner, or maybe a loose wheel, something like that. More than likely, a soft tire on the right front, and it did not allow him to turn his truck when he got down to turn 1, and that's what led him to clip the left rear corner of Bobby Hamilton.
And because of all the cleaning that is taking place right now on the track, the red flag has come out. Again, Bobby Hamilton, Boris Said, Chase Montgomery, Chad Chaffin also involved, as well as the 75 of David Starr and the 77 of Brendan Gaughan, involved in our second incident on the track that has brought out the red flag at the Kentucky Speedway. We'll be back with more after this.